we're at the sewing part. Ooh, the scary part. So let's just go over real quick. Here's the purse. This is the wrong side, as you can see, and you're just going to bind it off, and of course, and then you're going to just take your, with all your little long tails. Now I'm just going to let you sew it up whichever way you want. I'm not going into that. You just simply sew up the sides. But I do want to tell you, the rib, you do not start sewing till you're past the 1x1 rib section. So see, this part stays open on each side because we have to add the zipper. So you simply sew from here to here. See? Then on this side, same thing, leave it open at the rib section and the 1x1 rib, and then just sew down that side. So whichever, however you like to sew it. You know, you can sew it from the right side, or you can flip it over and sew it from the back side, but whatever, you know, however you want to just sew your seam. You just have 2 seams, and that's all we need. Now, after you do that, then I take mine, well, maybe let me go back to this. Even before I sew it, you know, I work on the back side, and I lightly steam. I lay a pressing cloth, and I lightly steam this. Don't really lay your iron on it. You just lightly steam above it, and just kind of, you know, smooth it out. And then, of course, you sew it. And then after you sew it, see, I've just sewn up the edges, and I left the rib area open on each side so I can put the zipper. Now you've got to choose either some buttons or beads that you might want to add. And as you can see, I'm going to hold this up. I hope this comes out real pretty. I found these just some buttons from Joann's, and then I sewed the buttons on, and then I just, as I was sewing each button on, after I attached them with some of the just plain thread, then I stuck a bead and continued to attach the bead with the button. And it just gives it a little bling. Just makes it real pretty. And I kind of, just an assortment of buttons. A large, a small, a large, a small, a large. And then I just reversed it. But you can come up, or you can just use some pretty beads in the center. You might have some beads that are really pretty. You might just want to put one of those. I did leave one row empty because I didn't want to overdo it. So I did the top row and the bottom row. But you can, it's your purse. You can do it like you want. Okay, so you have to sit here and whenever, one by one, add a bead with the needle and thread and your button. Your button first, and then the bead on top if you want it, or a bead. Each one, all of that done before we do our lining. Because once we do our lining, it's too hard to try to do it that way. And of course, you know, as I was ending the last part 1, I did an I-cord, which will make our little arm band. Well, while I was doing, since I was doing the beads, I just got carried away, and before I knew it, I came up, I thought, well, I had some beads out, and I thought, well, I'll just take my needle and thread, same thing, and I just stuck some of the beads that I had right here that I had added to the button. I just put them on the little I-cord. So I just did like a little running stitch and did a couple of turns in each bead, and before I knew it, I was done. And I thought, oh, that's pretty. That's going to add a little more to it, don't you think? Okay. Now, before I pull out my machine and we get into this, okay, I had my fat quarter. I took it to the ironing board, and I simply just fold it in half. And I just ironed it really nice so I can tell where it's going to fit my purse. And this is all you're going to do. You can just take a pencil, or you can just cut it, take scissors and cut it freehand. And you're just going to cut right here, leaving maybe a ½ an inch on each side. Maybe a ½ an inch on each side, up and across. Go up, leave, like I say, if you're a little afraid, leave a little more. If you think, oh, I may mess up, well, just leave a little extra. Just make sure you go up the sides, go across, leave a ½ an inch across the top, and then come down 1/2 inch like that. And then we'll start our sewing part. Easy? You can do this. Very simple. Well, I've got my machine up, and like I said, it's an old baby lock. But this is about all I use it for nowadays. Maybe to line a purse, or you know, just very simple things. I really don't do a lot of sewing like I used to. And in my day I did quite a bit. But here I have my lining, and I have turned it. Here's the right side, and I have flipped it over. You see I've cut it out just a little larger than the purse. Here's the purse, and I've turned it inside out. And it's just, you know, maybe about 1/2 inch larger. So I do have my lining. Right side's facing. I have the wrong side ready to sew, and I'm simply going to start on a bottom edge, because remember, we don't have to come all the way up to the top, because we stop at we leave this part of the purse, the rib section, open. That's about 1 inch down. So you need to mark that on there. If you a person that needs to mark, just mark it, and so that you'll know about where to stop. So I'm just gonna use my my foot as my guide, my measurement. I backspace, just come right up the side, and lock before I get to the end. Flip it over. Do the opposite side. Starting at the bottom. Lock your first few stitches. Just follow the curve of the bag and come up. Like I said, about 1/2 inch. And lock it and leave an opening. Okay, now I'm going to come back to the lining, but while I have my machine, before I actually put on my zipper foot, I'm going to go ahead and do one little part on my bag, and that is to kind of soften my little corners. So you see this little point here on your bag? You see that? You know, you want to just sew across that, and that gives that pretty little indentation when you turn the bag right side out. You see that? So in order to do that, you simply take your bag, take your finger, really push the point, and I'd say about another 1/2 inch, and just lay it on your machine and sew it across. And back stitch it, and voila. And of course you have to do the other corner, the opposite corner. But when you push the bag out, when we turn it eventually with the lining, see what a nice pleat that, what a nice edge that makes for the bottom. So okay, so now when you turn it, when we do turn it, you will have this nice pretty bottom to your bag. And of course, if we do it on the bag, we're going to have to do it on the lining. Okay? And if you're in doubt, you can stop at this point and, you know, try your bag on. I've done so many, I've already done it more than once, so I'm just going to simply take my point, and I'm just going to go across just like I did be sure to stick your finger. And you don't need a very large section, just about a ½ inch. Across and lock it. And do the opposite corner. And if you're a perfectionist, you may think, oh mercy, this is just... But I'm just more into, I just need a liner for my bag, and nobody's going to see all of this. And there's a lot of sites if you're not, you know, if you're not used to this. Oh, check over at Debbie Shores. Oh, see? You can really see some, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so there's my bag. And there's the bottom done. Okay, let me get my machine set up for my zipper, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. But here's my lining, and here's my bag. I'll turn it back so right side so you can see the nice. See? It's coming together. Looking good. See you back in a minute. Well, I've got my zipper foot on. And I've got my zipper out. And I'm going to start by adding the zipper to the knitted bag first. And I was trying to make it very simple so those that do not sew a lot, or maybe really didn't want to have to, you know, sweat over this part. Hopefully this will be simple enough for you. And I've opened the zipper up, and I've put a couple of pins in the knitted fabric, just so that you'll have a tendency to want to stretch your knit, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep the knit, you don't want to have it stretched so completely out of shape. So I've started on the back end of the zipper where the zipper actually stops. See? I've opened it up. I have my zipper foot on, and by us leaving this little opening on each end, see, it's going to help us a lot than if it was just a closed, like a little makeup bag or something that was closed. So I'm going to slide my needle in, and I've already stitched it down a little bit, and I'm just going to keep, make sure that your knit does not cover up the zipper, the teeth of the zipper. So just kind of make sure that the teeth are free as we sew across. And just take your time, do your lock, and then stay close to the top edge of your knit, the bind off little edge. Take your time. You see I put a pin here so that I didn't continue to stretch. So you don't want to stretch the knit. You want to make it conform to the zipper instead of, because the zipper, there's no stretch in it. So I'm just taking my time as I get near this pin. Let me put my needle down, take this center pin out that was keeping me from stretching. I have a pin on the end where I want to stop. Just take your time. Don't cover up the teeth of your zipper. And of course, make sure you have a nice thread that's going to match. Okay, now I've flipped my purse over. I'm starting on the back end, and I have put the same, used pins to just attach my bag to the zipper, because I don't want to stretch. You know, we have a tendency to pull the knit, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to follow the same line of sewing that I did on the front. I stay close to the top edge. Just take your time. I'm going to sew up to my first pin and remove my pin. Try not to cover up the teeth of your zipper. Slow is the best. Just take your time. I'm coming up to the center pin. I put that there to keep me from pulling the knit. I'm just holding on to the zipper as I come up to the end, to the opposite end, trying to make sure I don't cover up the teeth of my zipper, and do your lock stitch. And pull it out. And of course we got a lot of snipping and make sure you take your pins out. And we'll cut all the excess off. Don't worry about all of this. This will be covered at the end. And we zip it up, and then I'll show you how we're going to finish it off. Well, okay, we're almost to the end of our lining, and what I wanted to show you is, okay, I've got my lining pinned to my bag, and sometimes it's hard to, some people may put the lining in the zipper and the front all on at once. I just, since it's a knitted fabric and it can stretch so bad, we put the zipper in first, and then now I've put my lining, I've fit my lining to my bag, and I want you to see how I have it how I have it pinned close to the top edge. And then right here where we have the opening, you're just going to turn the lining. See, just turn the lining so that it forms that little V just like the bag on each end. Except this end, of course, has the back of the zipper. And you tuck those in. You can either cut the end of the zipper off. Since this one was so short, I tucked it in. This is the end where the back of the zipper is, where we're going to add the handle, the little strap. So what I've done is pinned my lining to my bag, and I'm going to start. I still have my zipper foot on, and I want to slowly. Now, right here, you can decide if you want to do it by machine. If you're done with your machine and you think, I don't know, you can simply hand stitch this right here, right across. You can just simply hand stitch right across if you want to. Don't do the V yet, just across this side, and we're going to do this side. So it's up to you if you want to do it, continue to do it with your machine, or if you just like to say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to hand stitch it. Sometimes I just hand stitch it if I'm watching something, or I'm just not in the mood to have to deal with the machine again. Okay, so like I said, slow. And watching both sides and watching. I hit a needle. Excuse me, I hit a pin. Just have to watch your pins. Keep it close to the edge. And this is just so thick, you may have to just kind of guide it just a little bit. And of course, lock your stitch. One side done. See? We'll clean up all the extra, all the threads in just a minute. Be sure to just get some really thread that's close to the color, as close as you can. And if you have to choose, go with a lighter color, just a hint lighter than darker perhaps. Okay, so we're going to just turn our bag around to the other side. You see I've pinned this side up close to the top, just like the other side. And I'm going to put it in. Now I've got a pin right here. I hit a pin a minute ago, and man, that threw me all off, but just watch your pins. You may have to get the thickness in it first. And just start slowly. Stay close to the top. Okay, I got so many pins on this side. Okay, here we go. Slow and steady. Here comes another pin. We'll take that one out. I can see stay close to the top of the lining. I've got it pinned just where I want it. I can remove another pin. And we're almost. Check underneath. Make sure my lining stays in the right place. I'm about ready to take out the last. Pin. Almost to the end. And at the end, I'll lock. Lock your stitches in. Pull it out. And slow and steady pays off. Just slow and steady. Okay, now to put the little, we're going to put the strap on the back end. I just wanted to show you how it looked from the front once we had it in. And it's not stretched all out of shape. It has a nice shape to it. Top and the front and back match or meet at the top. Like I said, we'll come back and snip all our threads. Okay, let me unzip it and show you what we're going to do. Flip it back over. Okay, let's take care of this. I'm going to take care of this front side, the side where we're not going to have the straps. It's the side where the zipper, where you zip to. Okay, we have this little V, and all we're going to do, I can take the pins out now. I think I can just hold it. And we're simply going to take the machine and just come down this direction, pivot, and go up. And that will lock the lining in on this one side. So that's very easy to do, or you can hand stitch it. If you decide you don't, like I say, you can do it by hand, but I'm just, since I've got my machine and I've gone this far, I'm gonna sew down, get right here with the needle down, turn and pivot. And come up the other side. Stay on the edge of the lining. And don't forget to lock. And let's go to our other opposite end. Okay. Okay, for the strap, I went ahead and took my zipper foot off and put on my regular foot. I think it will work better. And I'm on. And what I've done is, this is the wrong, here's the right side of the little arm wrist strap. I've taken it and I've got the bag turned inside out, and I've just stuck one side, because in this way I think it'll be a lot easier to just push it through. So I'm on the back and I'm sticking one tail inside of the lining, right between the lining and the knitted bag. And with my regular foot on, I'm going to get right. In fact, I think I'll sew it from the knitted side so I can really see what I'm doing. I'm going to let my foot down. I'm going to take my time because it is very thick and your machine may not want to take it, but let my needle up and I come down very slow, and you may have to feed it just a little bit to get it to go through, to go over all of the thickness and the strap. Go down to and lock. Now I'm just going to back this out, snip my threads, okay. Now the other side I'm going to take and stick in, and anything that's not caught you can just snip off because you don't need it now. Alright, so now the other side of the strap I will simply tuck in the same right between the knit and the lining. Okay, in that little opening that we left, we will stick this part of the strap back through the opening to the right side, and don't forget to flip it over. Just flip it over just like that so that your beads are in the right position. Okay, let's pull everything out. Let me just push that in. Turn it around to the front. All the thread has got to be cut off. I'll tuck that in. I've got my liner. And you can hand stitch anything that you feel like, well, I need to take care of a few things. And I am going to show you this. On this little, this very back, I'm going to do a little stitch. I have needle with the thread that we're using. And just to close off the zipper so that it looks nice and neat, I'm just kind of locking it in. Okay, I'm going to reach up, and the two knitted ends where the actual knitting stops, I bring those two little ends right over the zipper. Just push the zipper down, bring those two ends, and I'm going to put a lock stitch right here by joining those two ends, working across the zipper. Push the zipper down a little, hold it with your finger, and I'm tacking. In other words, I'm doing a stop, a place that to make sure that the zipper stops. It has a little stop place anyway, but I'm doing it so that the knit is nice and neat right at the end. The purse is nice and neat right at the end of the zipper. And all I'm doing is tacking across and pulling it tight. And weaving it in. Weaving my thread in. Okay. The handle is actually, the little strap is sewn in, and I have nice end to my zipper. And I see one little place I'll probably have to tack on the inside. Then this side, you're going to cut all the ends, and I like to do a tack on this end, on this side too, this end. I will take, rethread my needle and actually tack these two ends just because it looks nice and neat. You still have a little hole, which is fine. That's what we wanted. But I like to tack on both sides. And there's the back with your little arm straps. Here's the front where you put your little arm through. And here's, let's see, more little strings I've got to cut. And here's your zipper. And here's your bag. Here's your lining. And of course, it needs to be steamed and kind of blocked to, you know, to smooth it out. Just like the original one. I think I'll put some buttons on that one, just since I put the little beads there. I think I have some more buttons. I think I'll put some more buttons on there. Or some more beads. I can just sew those on. See? And the same. See, it just opens up. Nice lining. Like I say, if it's, you know, something you want to try, you can easily, I hope you're a better sewer than I am. Like I said, I don't sew that much anymore because of my back. But you can easily hand stitch everything that we've done. It's just easier to get that. Once you get the zipper in, then if you need to hand stitch the lining, if that's better for you, that's fine. Or if you don't want a zipper, you can use the magnetic snaps. They sell those at Joann also. And there's our diamond, eyelet, little wrists, purse. Easy knit. Maybe the sewing's a little tough, but like you say, it's your purse. You do it how you like. But it's a cute gift, and I think you will enjoy it. So try it out. And from Jay's Knit and Purl Jam, I know you're gonna look pretty. See ya!